All right. Welcome everyone to episode, I think it's 5, but it
Four.
could also be 4. I
Yeah.
guess we have a fourth one. Well, anyway, welcome to a new episode of Provipuff Girls. You will probably see it in the title which one it is, or just count yourself. And we will start just now. Great to see everyone.
Hey, I'm Hazel back again.
Hi, this is Lucy back again.
Yay. And
Yeah, we
me,
just got back
Ines.
for a soccer game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Say
Yeah,
again, what time is it for you?
For
for
Lucy.
me,
Yeah, Lucy.
it's 8:20 p.m. in Japan.
Oh yeah.
For
Good.
me in Boston, it's 7:20 a.m.
You have to get up
Yeah.
so early.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone, please appreciate how Hazel is just like it's like getting up very early for this podcast on her Saturday. It's like
Yeah, standing ovation and total respect.
yeah, please. Because like here it's midday in Germany. It's like yeah,
Mhm.
1:30 p.m. So it's like for me it's super chill. It's like
So
yeah.
what are we going to talk about today?
Ah,
You want to introduce the topic
wow, we're so yeah. Yeah, let's talk about what motivates us. I guess in Providence generally,
Hmm.
like for missions and maybe generally also speaking for things, maybe even in our everyday lives, what motivates us to do things.
Right.
Because like the guys, I think
Interesting.
said something about what was it? I forgot what they said, but oh no, they said something
Okay,
about
Ines has
money,
no
right? They said
interest
something
on
about
that,
money
on
and
guys.
success.
Oh yeah, I think they
Hmm.
said like they were like more goal driven, I
Oh
guess, like
yeah,
when they're like super
that was it.
focused on something, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I think
yep.
actually
And they
like
said they want clarity.
yeah.
Mm.
Actually I think goal driven is such a like wide
Yeah,
answer. Like of course girls also have a goal in mind. But maybe not a
right.
successful
I
money goal, but like also a goal somewhat. So like yeah.
think one interesting comment they made was like they want, I think one of the guys said like they want like a very clearly defined scope when they have like a
Mm.
mission in Providence, which was not really well defined. And
Mm.
like they had a hard time to like run for Providence and find like the right mission because
Yeah.
everything was kind of like a blob, I guess.
Yeah.
Like yeah, just evangelize, just find lives, like kind of like they need like a very clearly defined goal,
Yeah.
I guess. And they were kind of asking like, how do girls like because girls mostly, I mean, like the majority is girls in Providence, but like girls, there's a lot of girl leaders, woman leaders. So
Mm.
I guess they were asking like what kind of makes women, like girls, actually be leaders, even if
Mm.
like everything's not very clearly carved out, I guess.
Hmm.
What do you
Yeah.
guys think?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting comment because I just came back from soccer just now. I can see that trading guy so prominently. Say,
Mm,
like in a soccer game, you've got different positions, right? Like you've got people who are really specialized at shooting, the goalkeeper, defenders,
Mm.
and they are just so motivated when they see exactly what they're supposed to do.
mm,
But when they're not, they're just like just hang out for fun. They're just They just chill, like they just do nothing and they're okay with it.
Yeah.
It's like pretty extreme, and I find it really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But personally, what motivates me the most in Providence, well, the answer could be a bit vague for some, but it's basically what makes God happy. Like
Okay.
when I, but I mean, that might be too general, but when I felt or experienced or got some
Mm,
feedback from God, whether it's through people or, through the situations or
mm,
whatever, like
Mm,
that exactly specified what I did is
mm.
really appealing in God's eye. It's appropriate. I
mm.
just got so motivated, even though the task itself is not something I like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, what motivates me generally, like similar to what you said, is just like what is beneficial to people, I guess.
Mm,
Or like to the people around me or church in general, to the people I like, and like I guess
mm,
maybe more in that kind of thing. I mean, yeah, I don't want to say that success or like these very defined goals are not motivating,
mm,
but I think it's at some point it gets like, as soon as you have that defined thing, it's gone, and then you have to search for another. That which is, I think, very exhausting at some point. So I guess I really, in this end, more look for the feeling. Like feeling is the bad word for that, but like the what I can do to like, I know I know how to say it. Uh, yeah, to care for others, I guess.
So
Because
you like the feeling of like helping others or like the feeling of the person being helped?
I
I don't
guess
know.
more of the feeling of being needed. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It
yeah.
does kind of extend to the person being helped, because if you need help, you need someone. But I guess the feeling of being needed and always having something to do is
Yeah.
uh, is motivating me. And
Mm,
for example, also when I like work with the kids in the kindergarten, what I have noticed is that sometimes I do things that I wouldn't do. Like for example, this week I was making some syrup with the kids, and for that we were gathering flowers. So and of course, when you like harvest wildflowers, there are bugs. There are bugs and spiders and stuff. And usually, like when I'm alone, I would just like grab something that's long enough for me to like just squish them from far away, or just shoo them, so I don't have to touch it. But when I'm with the kids and I see that they're scared, I'm more likely to just grab them with my own hand and just put them away, because this is not about me. This is me about like for the kids doing that, right? So
mm,
yeah, I guess that's also like this what can I do for the others? So
mm.
thing.
Do you ever, I'm just wondering while you're talking, do you ever like feel like, I mean, I guess everyone wants to be needed, but
Mm.
like sometimes in Providence, um, like there are like these very proactive people,
Mm.
and then there's like these people that are not so proactive, and then like all the workload goes to those people that are proactive, probably people like you, Ines, right? So do you ever feel like that's kind of overburdening or like kind of annoying in some ways? Because that's like a little bit of my experience.
Yeah, I guess
That's
one thing that I had to learn, and I guess everybody of these people needs to learn, these kind of people in Providence need to learn, is also to set boundaries. So
mm,
yeah, of course, I
right.
am a technician in church, and I did various other stuff too. Like I'm doing the hair of my leader, and then I'm like helping with cooking sometimes, or like all these little tasks, and then praise leading and helping evangelizing, and like kind of everything that's needed. I wouldn't say that I'm the person that does the most in church, never, but I also learned to set boundaries and to say, okay, this is as much as I can take, and I don't want to do more. But I think it's important actually for us to do rely on others more, even if we see that they're not trained a lot
Yeah.
yet. For example, for me as a technician, if I see someone on doing tech and I'm like, oh, she's doing something wrong, or like something's going wrong and I know the answer, but I'm like, I have to hold myself back actually, because they also need the time to learn, and not everything is going to be perfect. So I need to give them room to learn, because if I'm just like, no, you can't do this, let me, like, if I just take over everything, it just
You
we're
never
stuck.
learn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm completely agree because I think that was like my phase in Providence where it's like burnt out by like all the work, and
Mm.
then like you said, like we have to learn to set the boundaries. But I guess like it when you first come to Providence and you're new, you're
Yeah.
fiery, you have lots of inspirations, you do a lot of things, you don't really have boundaries. You
Yeah.
think you're like superpower woman or something. Yeah, and then it's
Yeah.
just yeah.
But yeah, and to be honest, I don't want to be like insulting anyone, but sometimes I feel some people in Providence, I don't know if they're like doing it consciously, but some people like use these type of new people. Like they will
Yeah,
give them
definitely.
stuff they don't want to do themselves. I don't think
Yeah.
they do it like in a bad way, like they're not trying to be mean or anything. It's just that oh, they see this person is so inspired,
Mm.
so they give them the tasks they don't want to do themselves, because why not? And but yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
totally agree on that necessity of setting boundaries. Before we go deeper on that, I just wonder what motivates Hazel.
What motivates me? I guess like I really like the learning process in Providence.
Mm.
So like it's so like before I was like really burnt out, like it's so diverse, like how you learn in Providence, the things that you learn from like listening to the stories of the lives that came. Although like many of them will leave, like while you manage them, like you you like really learn like not through like a movie or a drama. You like learn in actuality like
Mm-hmm.
how people are suffering or like going through challenges, and you like help them. And I really like that learning process, and like how you can bring that learning to your actual life when you're living your life, whether in your career or your like daily life.
Mm.
So yeah, I just like that part of Providence, I guess. I don't know if that's like a motivate. Yeah, that's what motivates me. Yeah.
Wow,
Mm.
that's
Just
cool.
help me to get if like to confirm if I'm getting it right. Does it mean that the the prospect of being able to learn something not theoretically but in actuality is really
Yeah.
motivating for you?
Yeah, and like these
Then
things
that's really
actually,
different.
yeah, that those things actually happen in real life, and like I'm more like if I see that I'm more able than other people in the world because of all these experiences that I've accumulated in Providence, that's just super motivating for me. Yeah. Mm.
Cool.
Yep.
But I wonder, like, you gain that experience after a lot of hard work and, a lot of managing, right?
Yeah.
So were you motivated even before you got that realizations or like learning or whatever? Or were you more motivated after harvesting all these learnings and
Mm.
then those experience help you actually to start another journey, say managing another difficult life, etc.
Mm. I guess, yeah, that's a hard question. Lucy asked very hard.
Yeah, sorry.
I guess it's a little bit of both. Like as I mature, I guess it's a bit different now. Um, but I think like before I matured, I just liked experiencing these new things in Providence and like thinking about these new things about God and like related
Mm.
to my life and having these realizations in the process. But then I guess like as I grow older in my like 30s and I interact with other people in the world, I guess like I feel I'm more competent in
Oh,
terms of my maturity level, in terms of my thoughts, my thought process than other people, and what I've accumulated in Providence during my growth phase. So, yeah, that kind of makes me push further and motivates me to go like further in Providence. Yeah.
oh yeah.
Did that really answer your question? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did. Yeah. Ines, were you trying to say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when you say about competence level, I guess I don't know about you, but I do think that like the guy said that guys, men are competitive in a way, like
Mhm.
especially when it comes to sports and I guess physical things. But if I think about it, I think girls are also competitive, but in a different way, like more subconsciously. Like, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, we do compare each other, but we do compare on a different level. Like, huh.
Yeah, I think our like comparison is more like on diverse points,
Mm,
like how you can deal with emotional things, like physical things, and like on diverse levels. But I guess
yeah,
with guys, it might be a little more focused, maybe
yeah,
like on push-ups or I don't know, some
yeah,
kind of like visible outcome.
yeah.
5,000 push-ups a day
Just
5,000 push-ups a
generalization.
day. I totally want to get there.
with
God.
vegan diet. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but I
Hmm.
think for girls it's also a lot. Well, how do you think or how do you rate social status for yourself? Like how important do you think
Hmm.
that is?
Socialist.
Because for me, I think like I don't want to be a leader or like a socially high positioned person, I guess, but I do want people to like me, I guess. But I don't know if this is just generally human or if this is a girl thing. I don't really know. Guys, tell me if it's a girl thing.
Yeah, social status. I think it
Yeah.
changes, like your value also changes when you come to Providence, also,
Mm,
probably. And
that's
there's also
true.
your innate character, like whether you want the ranking or like some visible credit.
That's true. Yeah, I personally,
But
Yeah.
actually, I don't like visible value, what you said. Because, like, for example, if people come to me and say, like, oh, yeah, you did this really well, I get super shy. I'm like, nah, it was nothing, right? Right? Like, it wasn't so bad. I just did it. Like, it was nothing. But it's not, like, yeah,
mm, yeah. What do you think,
Well,
Lucy?
Lucy,
I
yeah.
guess, yeah, social status, it's a difficult question. But I guess in general, is we are more focused on like spiritual purpose, right? Like growing our
Mm.
spirit. I
Right.
guess we all have a tendency to value like spiritual status, like I don't know, like
Yeah.
how well are you doing in your faith or how close are you with God, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More than the aspect of our physical life, like how much do you earn a month or how big
True.
your
Mm,
house is, right?
True.
But
mm,
yeah, but personally, I guess I rate myself in terms of some level of maturity, which is not only limited to spiritual, but also mental. Because
mm,
I'm not sure if this is a little bit off topic, correct me if I am, but
mm,
I find it interesting that we are learning this word, right? That's of the highest level, it's the most mature thoughts you can ever find. It's perfect, right? But then we also, now including me, we have people who are really like mentally immature. You know what I
mm.
mean?
Mm.
Yeah.
Like that gap sometimes it's a little bit, well, it's both shocking. If it happens personally, it's
Yeah.
embarrassing and like for instance, like even for when I work with my boss or my colleagues,
Mm,
sometimes I just respect them so much on how they look at the problem, right? How they approach that conflict that
Mm.
I don't have that maturity to handle yet.
mm,
So I guess I rate myself on that when I compare with worldly people. Yeah, not sure if you guys have any thoughts on this topic.
mm. Yeah, I definitely agree. Like,
Yeah.
especially when you interact with other world people, sure, they have like different, because like we ran a lot like on the spiritual level, I think
Mm.
it's different. Like, it's a different level of training, different training you have to go through. But I think with this, like, with experience and like with years to come by, like, I definitely am convinced that Providence values help you to get trained in that area. But it just takes time, I think,
Yeah.
to, yeah, the mature level. If you're
Absolutely.
properly
Yeah.
trained in Providence, yeah.
Yes.
Mm,
Yeah, I actually was like, especially like during Alpha Day, or this week, I was really thinking about how much I've changed since I came to Providence, and I
mm,
think like the speed of maturing was just way higher than before Providence.
mm.
Yeah, and also like the
Yeah.
amount of things that were like turns my life took each and every year in Providence. It's just sometimes insane. Sometimes I look at back at the years in Providence. I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it would be pretty inspiring for all the subscribers if Ines can share maybe one episode or one
Mm,
aspect that you found yourself, getting really mature in Providence.
mm,
Yeah, generally, I'm more mature or what I'm better at since Providence, or still getting better. Sure, there's always a better, but better than before, is just generally reflecting on myself and being like really honest to myself. Like
mm,
before Providence, I tended to like blame other things or like blame environmental issues or whatever for my like downfalls. But now I know, or I'm okay with seeing myself and actually seeing the problem in my own way of doing it, like in myself, not as to like seeing a problem or seeing myself as the problem, like in general, but like just I'm not afraid of pointing out my own faults, I guess, anymore. That was something that I was not able to do before Providence.
Mm. Wow.
And
I think that's really life-changing. Yeah.
It
Congrats
is.
on that, on your maturity on that.
yeah, I think if you talk with a lot of worldly people, you would notice like the stark difference of other people like going through all these thoughts. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy like how like I think one thing that's really good for me was like I was able to build resilience. So like we go through so many like extreme
Mm.
difficulties and like not like just personally but like just like spiritually and stuff. We have like our ups and downs all the time. And then like we listen to the word, we pray, and then we get back up. We
Yeah.
have so many of these ups and downs that like when I came to the world and was like working and I had like a lot of difficult challenges and stuff, it just like it was like nothing compared to like the difficulties I faced in Providence. So
It's
like
A
true.
I
piece
could
of
just
cake.
when I talk to my colleagues, like how much mature and like how much better I can deal with these things.
Mm.
I think that's a very big thing for me. Mm.
Mm. Resilience. Can't agree more.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess um like Sunsini once said if somebody's gonna follow him around, that person would probably end up in like a nose bleeding state within
Yeah.
like 3 or 4
Yes.
days.
Mm.
Yes.
I think it's so true that you need to gather all the strength you have, physically, mentally, and spiritually, and just invest everything you have to follow this history and just to keep up with the pace, right? And
Yeah.
I think no challenges in the world require everything you have,
Yeah.
like your spirit, your
Yes.
soul, and your body, like no sleeping, no food, right? Like praying.
Yes.
It is extreme.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess
Mm.
that's why the biggest blessing is here as well. So yeah, kind of agree more with Hazel's point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay for me to share one thing I earned in Providence. Uh, well, this topic is really, yeah, inspiring.
Mm.
Personally, I think the biggest um, blessing I I've got from God is the ability to love myself.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
quite related to Inna's point, I guess, in some way. It's just that before Providence, I'm pretty good at like praising people and see what people are good at and, like respect them and
Mm.
love them in the way I could at that time, which is, well, I guess not perfect, but it was so hard to accept myself, like accept my flaws and love myself as a person
Mm.
because I would just judge myself based on the standard in the world, like how's your grade, right? Like how good looking you are or how giving you are and such and such. But like realizing how God loves everyone unconditionally and that one-on-one love is just so life-changing. And
Mm.
once, well, it's a long journey and I'm still working on it. There's always a better, call it Venus. But like like I think a lot of people like in the world struggles the same problem and there's really no solution out of it, right? Because it's yourself. And if
Mm.
you can't love yourself, nobody can make you love yourself. But once I got at least a little better at loving myself, like the relationships with my family, right? Like with my friends, everything changes so much. So I'm just really grateful for this particular maturity. Yeah.
Amen.
Mm.
Yeah. But I wonder, like, now we said something that we better ourselves in. Do you have anything in your mind that's maybe a weak point of Providence people? Like, something, I don't know, like something that we still, like, almost all need to learn or need to get over?
Mm.
Because for example, sometimes I feel, I don't know if it's especially the people from former faith or if it's just Providence people in general, sometimes I feel like we're a little bit too humble. Like, when people are like never receiving any compliments, like you say, oh my god, your food is so good, and they're all like, oh yeah, the Trinity did it. Like sure, you're always doing it together, right? But like you put effort in this, you bought it, you cut it, and you, like, someone is complimenting you, but they're like, oh no, it's not me, it wasn't me doing it, right? Sometimes I feel it's like some people are too humble, or maybe, and if there's another word for that, but
They're selfless.
Yeah.
yeah, when they're completely selfless. I mean, selflessness isn't bad, but sometimes it
Mhm.
can be too extreme, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm looking this at the right angle, but this reminds me of a proverb Sonsonim taught about quite a few years ago, which is like you need to have the ability to discern what God should be doing and what you should be doing.
Mm.
Mm.
And that's a type of maturity.
Mm.
So I think, like, it's the word always stressed on how important it is to give glory to the Holy Trinity, right? And God always works through people and they use you, even
Mm.
without you knowing it, to do things according to God's will. So we're so deeply ingrained with this concept. But I guess it takes some training to be able to actually discern what part is God helping you and what part is like you are doing the effort and you deserve that compliment. I think
Mm.
it takes courage and discernment. What do you
Mm.
think, Hazel?
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the testimonies like before that I listened to, they would like be like, oh, like God helped me and like he made this kind of miracle and he like um gave me this career. I found like this career through like this inspiration of God and
Mm.
everything. Um yeah, like these testimonies were kind of like they had like their goods and bads because of course like God helps you through everything, but then like there's also the side where the person also worked very hard in
Mm.
that physical part and they put a lot of effort and stuff, but like a lot of people kind of misunderstood that point and thought like God's like making these kind of miracles
Mm.
and they
Yeah.
don't really understand like the human effort part.
Mm.
So I guess there needs to be kind of a balance and like to for us to not confuse ourselves as well.
Yes.
Yeah, my fault. Yeah.
Yes, I think so
Yeah.
too.
And
Mm.
oh, Ines, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree that we sometimes need to be yeah, careful how to address these things, because
Mm.
yeah, maybe newer people could be overwhelmed, or yeah, like you said, think that, oh my god, God is making miracles, and he does, but like it's not that you're not doing anything, it's just it's still hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like how Song like wrote the tablets in Nature Temple, right? Like God gave us the idea and Holy Spirit gave us the inspiration, right? And Song and people following him are doing the actual work. So I think
Mm.
Song is really good at discerning
Mm.
Mm.
and he's also very good at like completing his part absolutely.
Yeah.
And this topic reminds me of, well, actually, it's a joke in Japan. So, Like, because Japanese are like even more humble. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
even they're not Providence people, they're like so humble and
Yeah.
they just, especially for women, they are just denying everything they are doing. So, so for Provi people, like there's a term called um God's will syndrome. God's will syndrome. It means
Wow.
like people are just um how should I put it? They would chase God's will so feverishly that sometimes they overlook the part of responsibility they need
Mm.
to do. For example, if a campus member, she's doing job hunting and maybe she just be praying like day and night for like, God, please give me this job that's according to your
Mm.
will, right? Like she does invest everything on that, but she might not be doing the actual work of finding a job or doing some
Mm.
self-analysis and etc. So in Japan, I see a lot of God's will syndrome, and that might be one of the weakness
Yeah.
of providence. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely saw a lot of that in Korea, like before Rapture. And then a lot of people were tested because, like, like you don't have the desired output because you're just praying, of course. And
Yeah.
like people have different abilities, right? Like, so some people can just like, pray and do all the spiritual things, and then they can like be successful in the world.
Mm.
But some
Yeah.
people are not so competent in that area, so they might need to invest more time in the world. So, yeah, to not be tested, you have to kind of like be good at discerning, I guess.
Mm. Definitely.
Mm. Yep.
So as we talk a lot about what motivated us and how we've grown in Providence and what are the weaknesses, I think it would be pretty interesting to talk about what demotivates us. Like what makes you just like I don't want to do this anymore, right? Like why don't we start with Hazel who has gone through so many turbulences?
I think like before I answer that question, I want to bring up the point of the guys talk where they were kind of asking us like how we're so motivated like to do a lot of stuff in Providence when there's like it's not really clearly defined like what to do. Because that's true. It's like go evangelize, go preach the word. It's so big sometimes. Um because like I think like most people are not so good at evangelizing, I would say. And like even for me, like it's not like my true nature for me to like talk to like new people and like talk to like be awkward with new people and stuff. Um but I think for girls, the reason why we can handle these things, my conspiracy theory is that we have more like we're more able to make like have better abilities to make inference. So like even if we're assigned a certain task, like we kind of can connect the dots and like see, oh, I can do this and this and this, and then kind of like categorize like what kind of task we should do to complete this, um to get this desired output. But I guess it's called like nunchi in Korean. Like we have this kind of like inference ability, but for guys, it's kind of hard to do that. So yeah, that's my theory. What do you guys think?
Well, absolutely agreeing upon that. Sorry, I brought that topic too early, but yeah. Um, I also think girls have a higher level of tolerance on ambiguity. It's
Mm,
my conspiracy theory, but
yeah.
for example, because I was majoring in language education, so there's this um, quality of tolerance on ambiguity that, for instance, you can accept a concept that you can't really understand. Say any grammatical rules that doesn't make sense.
Um, yeah, what were we asking? We were asking about like how what kind of things demotivates you in Providence, like, and I was just saying like
Mm.
these things kind of demotivate me in Providence also because I have the masculine character of wanting to have like a clear goal, not just to like
Mm.
captured, love the Lord, which is very vague.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh, Hazel, sorry to interrupt. I just wonder maybe it would be a good idea to just edit this part out, like from where Ines mic died, and we
Yeah.
Yeah.
can like kind of reconnect. So this part shouldn't be in the podcast, but I'm just so
Mm,
basically I think we were asking Ines on your thoughts on why are girls coping
Mm.
better with the situation that there's no specific goals?
Mm.
Like
mm,
why are we still so motivated?
Mm-hmm.
And Hazel's point is that girls are good at in inferring, like
mm,
눈치 in Korean. And my point is girls are better at tolerating ambiguity. And we
mm.
were
Yeah.
asking if you have any conspiracy theory on this point.
Yeah.
And when you start answering, I think it's okay to reconnect the dots and start kind of recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I think, or my theory is that girls in general are a little bit more sensitive to notions and emotions and feelings in general. So I think sometimes for us, it is okay if it just feels right. So like if it's the right thing to do and you feel like you're you're driven to it, girls will do it because it feels right, even though there's no like outcome or visible outcome yet, or you don't there's no like specific goal ahead. You just know it's right. And I just think that girls are really more into moods and more into feeling and more into intuition. So like yeah, that's my theory.
Interesting. So we've got three theories now, and you guys can vote in the comment whose theory is the best. Okay, just kidding.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Mm.
But yeah, on Lucy's point about what demotivates us, because I kind of went off topic on because I wanted to discuss about like the guys versus girl
Mm.
thing. I guess what is the demotivating factor in Providence that you want to improve or change? Have any ideas?
uh I think one thing I think is demotivating is what we also talked about in the beginning, kind of cutting into the topic that some people take more tasks than others, or
Mm,
like will take on a lot of tasks until they even like almost burning out, while others may be a little bit more laid back and I don't want to say they're lazy, but they're just like not too proactive to do as much. And I think what is demotivating is that nobody feels in charge enough to change that, to say no, we're splitting these things apart and you are doing like like really saying you doing this thing and you're doing this thing, not just like everybody like doing it after their inspiration and after their yeah their character, but also like
mm,
yeah I do think sometimes it is, or it would be more helpful, like at least as far as I have witnessed. I don't know all the leaders out there, obviously, so I don't know if there are already leaders like this. But I think maybe that's also a more male trait generally, to like really be specific. Okay, you are doing this thing now because we need it, and another person is doing this thing now, so that we really start to split all the things that need to be done, maybe even into smaller tasks. So if one person can't do the whole task because it's too big, try to split it into smaller tasks so that people are easier in doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want like I completely agree with Inez's point, and I had a lot of experience with that. I mean, I think most churches are like that from like what I have what I come when I have conversations with other churches and with other members. And I think it's also in the world, like there's always like the proactive people that will 2% of the organization will do all of the work. And then like, 98% will just like follow or like be kind of like hanging out because they're not like very motivated. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's like the thing with like splitting up tasks is it's just very from my experience, it was very hard because people would get hurt like emotionally because they think that it's like a strong leader or something because like they're kind of like imposing these kind of tasks that they do. And then there would only be like 3 or 5 people that will actually do the work, and then some people don't really complete the task. It becomes a disaster. Um, so I was very interested in Pastor Sky's point, where like for the former faith, there would be like 20 people waiting in line for doing this kind of volunteer work. Because
Yeah.
I've never been in the former faith, I didn't know that part. But yeah, I think it's a good starting point to like think about how we can do that in province as well, because it's
Yeah.
clearly not very like working out very well right now, I guess.
Yeah, um, I think if I compare it to form of faith, I think what is the difference sometimes why there are so many people there to that are inspired, while here is because sometimes in Providence I feel like there is too much emphasis about doing it, and I will call it like spiritually correct, like I don't know a better word for that, but like sometimes you will meet people that are doing all these things and they're doing like, oh yeah, and I had this dream and I was so inspired to do so, and they are fiery, they are really fiery, and like so inspired, and sometimes it's overwhelming for other people and they feel like small, they feel like, oh no, I shouldn't be doing this because I don't feel inspired enough. You know what I mean? Like I don't want people to stop sharing their opinions and to stop sharing their fire, but we need to get people on board better, to get like to because sometimes also in messages we also heard the word that sometimes you need to start doing it to actually feel God, like
Yeah.
yeah, so like you will receive the inspiration in the end, you will receive grace in the end, but you have to start doing it. And I think sometimes people are too much focused on getting this grace and getting this inspiration now that they don't start. So they're like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an interesting point.
Mm.
I like in the world we've got this term like political correctness, right? Like you want to say something
Yeah.
that's politically correct. And I think, yeah, exactly. Like in Providence, we want to say and do things that are spiritually correct. And
Yes.
especially we've got the word that basically is the answer, right? And it's the answers to so many questions. And I think we've got these illusions that because we are listening to the best word. We should be the best. And
Yes.
like we should be correct, right? And if we are not, then we're just having bad faith. Like,
Yes.
didn't you listen to that word, right?
Yes.
But I think we overlook that there is this process of, learning and trials and errors and growing even within the history, even when you know the right answer. Like even the best soccer coach is teaching you how to play soccer. It doesn't mean you can be the best soccer player in a day, right?
Yes.
So I think the level of tolerance of failures, especially so-called spiritual failures, could be a little bit low in Providence. I'm not sure. I'm not complaining, but yeah, I just want to have this discussion.
It's true.
Yeah. I agree. And I think like one of the difference between former faith and us is probably like former faith probably has a lot of institutional power and like money and stuff like that to motivate people. So that I I don't know.
No, I don't. Yeah. At some point, yes. But like, for example, I was like doing church. I don't know if you know this, but there's like, I guess in English you call them especially church boys, but there's also girls doing it. It's like children that help at the sermons to like set everything up and like ring bells during the sermon and stuff. So and you don't get paid for that, but it's still a cool thing to do. And also like form of faith, like praise leading stuff, that it's really cool. And you do find many people that volunteer for these things, even though they don't get money or anything. But yeah, I think the difference there also is that they're doing it because they know they're going to receive grace, not because they were graceful before or not because they were spiritual before, but they want to do it to have the spiritual situation, like, or grace given,
see.
right? So they're yeah.
That's really different. Like they are doing it for, say, like realizing something or get that grace. But I feel like in Providence, just like what Ines pointed out before, like it feels like you have to be really inspired or like you have to have a certain degree of conviction before you start doing something.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but like, because in this time period, it really emphasized on like the center of your heart, like what kind of thoughts are you having while doing that mission, right? Say if you're a praise leader, are you trying to show off how great your voice is, right? Or are you trying to just enjoy singing or like, stand in front of people? Or are you really wanting to give glory to God, right? Like that plays a big role in how we choose people to do certain missions and also how we raise them, right?
Yes.
Which I think is really important. But it could also hinder people who don't have that yet, but they might gain it while they're doing it. And I think it's really difficult to strike a balance on this because you don't really want to, choose people who just want to show off and, to be a
Yeah.
praise leader.
Though I think even if it sounds bad, if you want to show off, but some people need that. So I guess it kind of be, you need balance in all these things.
I feel like Hazel is like processing with her in-grind chat GPT to
Yeah.
prompt a good
There's like a
response.
buffering. We should like a buffering circle over her head.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not using ChatGPT for this.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about what demotivates us, right? And we've got like, yeah, and it's pointed out that if the workload is too concentrated on certain people, it could be demotivating, right? We
Mm.
kind of elaborated on that.
Hmm.
Uh, is it okay if I bring another point on what demotivates us?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. One factor could be judging people.
Mm.
By judging, I mean spiritually judging people.
Yes.
Mm.
Like, I can hear very fast, yes. Like, I heard so many stories of people got sick of going to church in pre-dawn services because they felt being judged.
Mm.
Like, if you go to pre-dawn, say, less than 3 times a week, your faith is not very good. Like, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
And that really demotivates people. Like, I'm striving hard, like I'm
Yeah.
working every day and I'm trying to go to church at pre-dawn and you're judging me on that.
Yes.
And
Mm.
even without verbal expression, I think people sensed it. Yeah. Okay. So we've
Yeah.
got two yes men here. Are you having some similar experience or?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like judged like that when you were doing your mission? Because I think it's mostly like the like um the newer people get hurt by their leaders that were trying to manage them because they're like,
Mm.
oh, you shouldn't be doing this, or like you should be more fiery at, pre-dawn or stuff. And I think that made a lot of people hurt and demotivated. I was
Yeah.
wondering if you guys have experience.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially
Yeah.
when there's like just too much judging at first. Like, sure, as a new person, you will be you're bound to make mistakes actually. Like you are going to make mistakes and you're not going to make everything perfect. But like I do remember that I think the person that taught me the Bible studies actually told or didn't wanted me to find out that there was pre-dawn messages at first because she was like she wanted me to like just come in first and then like get used to like even like Sunday messages, Wednesday messages and all, and then like slowly start with pre-dawn. But then I heard from someone else that there was pre-dawn, and I was like, "Why is there pre-dawn? Like, why did nobody tell me?" And yeah, but I do agree still that still you will have these people that even if they're not verbally saying it, but like also like one experience about this topic that is really striking in my head still is like somebody told me that I had like not even as a praise leader but just like in general, oh no, you have to sing better so God is getting better glory. And I think that's a statement that's just bullshit, sorry, but like like they're like sure yeah, I don't know, because like you can't expect everyone to like, I don't know, how do you even define good singing? Like personally, it's like it's unimportant how it sounds to everyone else, but it's important what's in my heart. If I'm singing it just for like singing good, like Lucy also said before, like right, if you're just doing it for showing off and just doing it for singing pretty, it's also wrong. So like why correct people like this? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think a lot of people in Providence are probably more like perfectionists, so they want like everything very perfect, like all the artwork on the church to be very beautiful and perfect, aesthetically
Mm.
perfect, and like praise to be on the good pitch and everything. Um, but like sometimes we just lose our like core purpose of giving glory to God and just making mistakes. And yes, like at some point you have to like, you can't sound so bad in praise that like people don't want to listen to
Yeah.
you. But like I think you should kind of make like allow people to make mistakes and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think this reminds me of how Song Singing talked about like how you should trim a tree. Like when the
Mm.
tree is really young, you shouldn't trim too much branches because
Mm.
that will hinder its growth. But when it's kind of big enough, then you can trim
Mm.
it like a lot, right?
Mm.
So I guess there are different stages, and yeah, I think it's like it's like an artwork to manage people in the right way. Because if you
Yeah.
don't point out certain things, then they can't improve. But if you are pointing out that thing out of uh, mindset of judgment, then it's really demotivating. So, is it okay for me to share one short episode of like
Yeah.
devastatingly demotivating
Yes.
management?
Yeah, I think we can
But
end with your devastating example.
well, by the way, that manager, well, actually, she was my church leader, but I'm very, I befriended with her, and we are in good terms now, so it's okay. So it happened when I was working in Wolmyongdong. I was helping out with like managing the lawn and like, cleaning the toilets and everything. So back then, people are really fiery on getting this 1 a.m. pre-dawn prayers, right? And I wanted to pray for something as well. So my schedule was like praying at 1 a.m. until 3, and then go back to the hostel, which is like 25 minutes away from Wolmyongdong, to get some sleep, and then come back to Wolmyongdong at 6, and then start the service or like before working at 7, and then work until 6 p.m.
Mm.
And it was really physically demanding,
Oh.
but I wanted to do the work and pray. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
because that's the direction of the word. Like, it was really about prayers. And I don't want to say that because I'm working, because I'm tired, I just want to do like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. prayers, right? Well, but I was too young, too naive, I guess. Like, I didn't know my capacity. And then like on the day my leader was coming to Wolmyongdong, I overslept for the
Oh no.
first time
Oh no.
in I think 3 weeks.
Oh no.
I overslept for the work. So I kept the pre-dawn service, but I couldn't get up at 6 a.m. that day. So, well, put the long story short, she she was shocked because I was having free food, right? I can stay there for free because I was working. And she's like, you are here because you're working, but then you skip your work. So what's the difference between you and those people just coming and going as free as they wish, right? Like
Wow.
you're abandoning your responsibility.
Mm.
And I told her, I'm sorry, but I really want to keep the prayer condition. So I just want to try. And she's like, if you don't change your prayer to 4 a.m., just quit your job. Like, just don't do the thing. And I was like, "Ugh."
Oh
Like I
no.
was like, that was so demotivating for me. I have to be honest. Like, it demotivated me for 5 years.
Oh.
No, I'm just not just kidding. But I mean, the trauma stayed there for 5 years.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
Yeah.
like I of course I start doing things, right? I did my mission, everything like evangelizing. But then like whenever I was trying to have a breakthrough or like go beyond my limits, that hit really hard. And I thought if
Mm,
I go beyond my limit, I might make some mistakes. And then
mm.
that might be, something catastrophic might happen.
Oh,
So it was pretty motivating. But then I reconciled with her and she understood and I understood her, so it was okay. Yeah,
okay.
that was what happened.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think everyone has like kind of similar experiences, right?
Yes.
Because we also have to like try to break the limits to like get off our like limits.
Yes.
But then there's always these demotivating things
Mm.
that happen. Mm, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to end this video with a demotivating
No, but it's good.
example.
But I think it's a good end to the video because it gives the audience enough to comment.
Yep.
By the way, my church leader, she was great. I love her still. So
You don't have to say it, but okay.
yeah, yeah. She's very motivating at times. Yeah. All right. So I guess it's almost time,
Mm.
even though the end is a bit awkward. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys, like what kind of motivating or like demotivating episodes you've got, and your thoughts on why, girls and guys are motivated in different ways. So yeah, really looking forward to your comments. And if you want to join Provipuff Girls, we're more than welcome, and you can just email us or leave a DM below.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So see you in the next episode with probably more motivating talks. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.